In all of my work with men and women, as a human potential coach, as a transformative artist, as a facilitator, I've come to realize that there is one critical thing that, when approached with the proper willingness and the capacity, will virtually guarantee the highest level of success possible for that person, regardless of what their goal is, whether it's up-leveling their relationship with their partner, building stronger friendships, making breakthroughs in their professional life, in their business, tapping into greater levels of creativity and effectiveness in their collaborative projects, or even just getting in better shape physically. Regardless of what their goal is, if they approach this one thing with precision, they are virtually guaranteeing their success. And if they don't, then everything around them will crumble. And I can say this with certainty. I've experienced it in myself and in others, and it's based on how the psychosomatic system is orchestrated, how we are built. And this one thing is your ability to pierce through resistance and discomfort when it inevitably arises. Because it's not a question of whether or not resistance and discomfort are going to show up when you're doing something new, when you're doing something novel, when you're taking on more responsibility, when you're engaged in some sort of growth process. Discomfort and resistance will show up in your system. Why is this? Our systems are designed to protect ourselves. We are carrying a vast bag of accumulated trauma and unprocessed emotions and programs that we've received from our ancestry, from our family, from society, all of it teaching us how we are allowed to behave, which behaviors are dangerous, when we're going to receive punishment for being in a certain way. And ultimately, at our deepest core level, what matters most to us is love. If we're loved, if we're safe, if we're accepted. When we're children, our very survival is dependent on whether or not we are loved. If we're not loved, our parents could just discard us, and we need them to survive. On a deep, fundamental, biological level, that attachment is absolutely necessary for our very survival. So if we do something that angers those symbols, the symbols of our parents, the symbols of our caretakers, and that love is withdrawn from us, it threatens our very existence. Nothing is more important to us as we develop as young human beings than receiving that unconditional love. And if there are conditions placed upon it, we will absolutely adjust ourselves. If I'm overly expressive and exuberant, which I was as a child, there are consequences to that in certain environments. If I get punished for being loud, which happens often to children, I might receive the instruction that, oh, in order to actually be safe, I need to be quiet. I need to suppress this impulse. I need to shut away that part of myself and lock it away so that it doesn't come up, because if it does, my life is in danger. That's how deep this goes. And so if I'm engaging in something beyond my comfort zone, beyond what it is that I've learned is safe, and because it was safe at that time in my life when I learned it, if I start engaging in something beyond that threshold, my nervous system, the memory, the psychosomatic memory of that threat will rise up in an effort to protect me at a deep, core, fundamental level. It will say things like, are you sure you want to take on that much responsibility? You might be setting yourself up for failure. Are you sure you want to present yourself in a vulnerable way? You know what has happened in the past when you've done that. You've been rejected. You've been abused. You've been criticized. You've been punished. Are you sure you want to love again? Remember the last time you did that, how much pain it led to? This is what programs are saying to you. Anytime you reach the boundary of what it is, of your default mode of operating in the world, your system is trying to protect you. Your system cares about you, about the survival of your entire being. But you don't need to listen to that voice, because the truth is that your fulfillment lies in your willingness and capacity to engage in things that challenge you, that push you towards a very real, tangible sense of expansion and growth increasing your complexity, your ability to interface with the world in more unique and complex and radiant and creative ways. That is where your fulfillment lies. It is in the rest and the rejuvenation that we replenish our system. But we've been taught and trained by society that what we want, what actually brings us fulfillment, is lethargy. It's retirement. It's inactivity that we desire. We can't wait until that next vacation when we can just sit on the beach and do absolutely nothing. We can't wait to binge watch Netflix, the new Game of Thrones season, so that we can just sit back and turn everything off. But those moments empty us. We enter into, it's like we become a vacuum. We are clearing out the space that has been cluttered inside of us. That's what those moments are for. To rest and rejuvenate and replenish. But they don't bring us satisfaction. They don't bring us connection. They don't bring us fulfillment. Those things come through activity, from doing. The lie of work is a disease in our culture. That we've been trained that activity is a burden. That is something that detracts from the quality of our life. The opposite is true. When we're most fulfilled, when we're most alive, when we're most engaged with life, we are in activity and it is intentional. We are pursuing something that we care about, something that invigorates us, that feeds us with life force. That is where the juice is. And we can do that consciously if we are taking the time to rest and rejuvenate and nurture ourselves on a deep fundamental level, because our system needs to know that it is safe, that it is loved, that it is cared for, no matter what. We have to teach our system that that is the truth. We do that through radical self-care, through intentional rest and rejuvenation, so that we can prepare ourselves to launch into the next dharmic-driven activity, pulled by our creative curiosity, our inspiration, the things that we care most about, pulling us forward to contribute, to engage, to be challenged, to create something valuable, something worthwhile in this life. That is what brings us happiness and fulfillment and satisfaction. And we cannot do that if we do not pierce through the resistance and the discomfort that inevitably arises when we are doing something new. Being able to make resistance and discomfort our allies is perhaps one of the most important things that we could possibly do in our lives. When we recognize the sensation of resistance and discomfort as signposts pointing us towards the thing that we should explore, knowing that on the other side of that, we will experience expansion, transformation, fulfillment, joy, deep pleasure. They become our allies, our teachers, our guides. They propel us forward into the things that we are deeply seeking on a core fundamental level. Because every time we grow in complexity, every time we become more than what we've been in the past, we embody and express a greater version of who we truly are, which is unlimited. It's pure potential, unlimited potential. No restrictions whatsoever. That is who we truly are. And every time we move across that threshold and expand and integrate that experience, we are embodying a fuller expression of that uninhibited, authentic self that we are. So one thing that you can do today to start piercing through your resistance is anytime you have an inspired thought, a curiosity that you want to follow through on, and you start experiencing that tingle of resistance or the desire to procrastinate, as soon as you recognize that, immediately respond with your mind. Do it now, do it now, do it now, and then launch yourself in that direction without hesitating. Every time you hesitate, you're actually allowing the fight or flight response to build in your nervous system, in your brain. You want to counter it immediately. Beware those second thoughts of fear. Get in front of them with do it now, do it now, do it now. Launch yourself in that direction and then pay attention to the consequence of that experience after it is complete. Tune in with yourself to feel how it felt to move through that thing that you were resisting. Just like Shavasana in yoga, where you lie down and you experience the full benefit of your practice. You want to do this every single time you successfully pierce through something that you're resisting. You want to train the system that that sensation of resistance actually leads to the deepest pleasure that you are looking for. So as soon as you experience resistance, the desire to procrastinate, act immediately. Mentally say, do it now, do it now, do it now. Launch yourself in that direction. And then after you are complete, tune into yourself to see how you feel and relish in the pleasure of what has unfolded.